emotional eating, stress eating, overeating, binge
Yes.
eating, all of that, sort of
Yeah.
thing. Sometimes women come to me because they've decided already that dieting is, no longer for them, and that now it's like, now what? I don't know how to eat. I don't know.
Hi, everyone. Shaelene McInnis here with Books in Line, Professional Services, Taxes and Accounting, and also the publisher for the Ontario Wellness Network, free digital online magazine, focusing on health and wellness, all kinds of wellness, financial, physical, spiritual, mental wellness. As we'll probably talk about, I think COVID really took it out on a lot of people. I think a lot of people struggled with COVID for different reasons. And so now I've decided to do something that just focuses on healing and wellness. I'm very happy to be interviewing this wonderful person as my guest, Michelle Tubman. I'm going to read you a few notes and then I'm going to ask her to do that for herself, but interesting person for sure. Oh, beautiful, healthy, fabulously fulfilled. You don't need to change your weight to have it all. You just have to change your mind. Body acceptance advocate, Dr. Michelle Tubman, founder of Wayza Health, wages a powerful crusade against the prevalent sizeism in our society via her podcast, Sizeism. That's such a good word. I'm going to start using that word. Thrive Beyond Size. That's the name of her podcast. Her one-on-one group and group coaching opportunities liberate women from the dangerous diet culture that has dominated their lives ever since they were old enough to understand a world in which their weight determined their worth. A now reformed chronic dieter who struggled with her body shame and subsequent self-esteem, Michelle set out to find the answers. She's certified with the Institute of Psychology of Eating, becoming an intuitive eating and nutritional expert, specializing in emotional eating. We've all done that.
Mhm.
As a physician, Michelle is also a double board certified in emergency and obesity medicine with a thorough knowledge of the physiology of weight and metabolism, initially setting out in her coaching practice to advocate for safe, successful weight loss. Michelle realized that promoting the necessity of change was merely perpetuating the problem. The real issue was breaking women free from the shame and self-criticism and replacing their all-consuming obsession with weight with a peaceful, loving relationship with food and the permission to do so. Be and have what they want now at any weight. If you're looking for a professional who cares and understands, you found her, a champion of unconditional self-celebration. Dr. Michelle Tubman gives women back their dreams. What a nice one that is. That was fantastic. That's so good. I like the positive way that you're saying that. I'm going to ask you to give my listeners and me a description of your business. So I'm going to, because I'd like you to do most of the talking. This is all about you. Thanks.
Sure. Happy to do that. My company is called Wayza Health, and the word Wayza comes from a Swahili word, actually. So I spent about six years working in Eastern Africa, in Tanzania and Uganda. And beside
Wow.
my office was, a little NGO that was focused on empowering local women. And Wayza is part of a phrase that means women can. And I truly believe that women can actually do anything if we step into our own power.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I think for most of us who run businesses, it all starts from a passion that's quite personal, right? And so for me, I always struggled with my weight and my body image. And I have been on a diet, for as long as I can remember. And, just the yo-yo dieting itself causes, so many health problems, self-esteem problems,
Yes.
lots of issues. And so
Mhm.
I went into medical school partly believing that somehow if I understood what was happening in my body, I would be
Yes.
able to solve the problem. And of course that didn't happen. And ironically, going through my medical training, my relationship with my body and my relationship with food actually got worse.
Oh,
And so
really?
through a lot of self-exploration and hiring coaches and seeing
Mhm.
dietitians and even psychologists to all help
Mhm.
with my body image, I just really um, intuitively started to understand that I actually wasn't the problem, that the problem
Yep.
was I was living in a culture that was telling me that I had to be thin to be beautiful. I had to be
Yep.
thin to be credible as a physician.
Mhm.
And my genetics and other things are just never going to allow me to fit, this, our cultural idea
Yes.
of
Yep.
beauty. And me trying to obtain that for myself over the years, I developed a binge eating disorder. I had a very
Mhm.
unhealthy relationship with food. There were times in my life when food was all I felt that I had to comfort myself or to give myself
Yep.
peace. And, I have long since healed that part of me. But
Yep.
when I look around, I see that there are so many women who are struggling with their body
Yes.
image and with their relationship with food. And so I founded Wayza as a way to um, develop curriculum, develop coaching programs to help women through
Yep.
all of that. Hmm.
That's excellent because, you see sizeism absolutely everywhere.
Hmm.
And I just wanted to say one other thing. It's interesting how people, how society perhaps judges someone who's larger as being unhealthy. Like there's
Hmm.
not, it doesn't mean you're unhealthy because you weigh more. It doesn't mean that just doesn't make sense to me. Like
No,
there's,
well,
I know lots of healthy people.
it is categorically untrue. It is an
Yes.
absolute fallacy
Yep.
that weight and health are are linked in the way that we believe it is. And it's unfortunate that, I still practice full time as a
Mhm.
physician as well. And the sizeism and this paradigm that weight and health are linked is very much alive in the medical system as
Mhm.
well, which does people, disservice because you
Mhm.
cannot determine the health of a person simply by looking at them, right?
Yeah.
And there are many people in thinner bodies that have
Mhm.
diabetes and cardiovascular
Oh,
disease
yeah.
and all of the other
Mhm.
things, all of the other things as well. And so, is it true that if you're in a bigger body, you're always healthy? No,
No.
but we also shouldn't be making assumptions that you aren't
Yes.
healthy simply because you happen to live in a bigger body.
That's right. It's interesting because, of course, this is the billion-dollar industry. It's money. This is really comes down to money. Okay, start exercising, take these pills, do this, because so the sizeism I think is so related to money and companies wanting to make more money, and they're not trying to do what you're doing, which is help.
Mhm.
Like truthfully help. Go, wait a minute. What they're trying to do is say, "Hey, no, this is your next fix. This is your next fix." It drives me crazy.
100%. And it is a multi-billion dollar industry at this
Multi-billion,
at this
yeah,
point in
yeah,
time. Yes.
and,
Yeah.
I'm disturbed because I have 2 daughters, they're 13 and 15, and I have already seen body shaming starting at their school on a
Mhm.
number of different ways,
Mhm.
including teachers, and, their friends or, lots of people. And I just, was saying, "Hey, don't," you've got I actually had an EA at my kid's school. Um, he said to my one daughter was with her friend, and he said to her friend as they were coming up for breakfast club, "Do you really think you need to have a second helping?"
Yeah.
And things like that, like it just absolutely uncalled for. I
100%
I
uncalled
I
for.
obviously went and had something to say about that.
Well, and so you should have something to say about that.
Body
And
shaming a 13-year-old. Are you kidding
body
me?
shaming a 13-year-old. And the horrible thing about that is not just the body shaming, which in itself is traumatizing for a young child, but also when we are young children, our bodies actually know exactly how much to eat
Yeah.
and when to stop. And it isn't until we start hearing these messages from the
Yes.
adults in our lives that we disconnect from that message. And so when a
Yeah.
young person is hearing, oh, maybe I shouldn't have
Yeah.
seconds, they
Hmm.
stop listening to what their body is asking for. And
Yes.
that is what starts this whole,
Yep.
cycle
Yep.
of endless dieting and trying to manipulate, your body so that you're
Yeah.
not getting those fat shaming comments from people anymore.
Yeah, I can't. Those comments are just uncalled for. And in our house, none of that is ever allowed,
Good.
ever. And we love food. We have like a domain, bucket list recipes to try. and my youngest daughter, she's just a little wee thin thing. She can eat 6 full plates of food. I've never seen anything like it. And hey, if she likes to eat, they both love to eat, and they're
Mhm.
eating good food, and they like salad, and they like whatever, and they're going to want wings, have wings. There's never been an issue around that, because I'm really quite against that in a million different ways. um, I'm going to ask you something. So I was interested in part where you said that that you help people. So say I come to you, say I came to you and I wanted to have a better feeling with my body,
Mhm.
right? I would, first of all, just so everyone knows, I'm going to put all of Michelle's contact information up so you can reach her every possible way. And if for some reason you can't, you can call us at Books in Line, and we're happy to put you in contact with her. She has a great message to share, and I'm going to be sharing it everywhere. So going back to, so how would you start with someone like me? So I come to you because I'm tired of dieting. Is that what, when people would come to you? When do you
Mhm.
think people would come
So
to you?
it's yes. So people come to me for a number of reasons.
Hmm.
Sometimes it is because they're aware that they're engaging in a relationship with food that isn't serving their goals
No.
in terms of
Hmm.
health. So emotional eating, stress eating, overeating,
Yes.
binge eating, all of that, sort of
Yeah.
thing. Sometimes women come to me because they've decided already that dieting is, no longer for them, and that now it's like, now what? I don't know how to eat. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. And so in
Yeah.
both of these cases, we always start with getting a good understanding of what it is you truly want
Hmm.
for your life, for your body, for your health.
Hmm.
And when I say, what do you want? I don't mean I want to fit into a size 6 pair of jeans. I mean, what do you really want? Do you want adventure in your life? Do you
Okay. Yeah.
want like
Peace of mind.
what do
Peace
you
of mind.
truly want? What is the root,
Yes.
of
Yeah.
all of this? And it has to start there, because
Yeah.
if your goal is to fit into a size 6 pair of jeans, there's a good chance that that is actually coming from diet culture. That is coming from,
Right.
a desire to fit in, or, something else that as actually isn't um personal enough to
Yeah.
motivate you to make the
Right.
behavior changes that you need in your life. And so once we've identified what it is you really want, then we do a number of things, right? We start to encourage the micro habits that are going to, the small little tiny things you can do easily
Hmm.
and consistently every day that are going to bring you closer to your goals. And while we're doing that, we look at your relationship with food, and we
Hmm.
try to disentangle you from all the diet rules and the food rules and everything else that you've
God,
come
there's so many. It's
to regulate
ridiculous.
yourself by. And we try
Yeah.
to bring you back to a more intuitive way of eating, where you're eating according to what your body is actually asking you for, rather than
Right.
all of those diet rules.
That's fantastic, because it's almost like, what do you want? It's more like, I think maybe for me, I would go, how do you want to feel? Like if I ask someone, okay, what is it you want? Because I do a lot of business coaching.
Mhm.
They're like, well, I want to make $1 million. That's not really what you want. What is it that you want? And the truth is, I want to be financially uh, responsible, financially free. I don't want to have worries about money. These are the
Mhm.
things. It's not that you want $1 million. I mean, hey, we all do.
Yeah.
But what do you
And
really want?
that's typically what ends up happening with my clients as well. Is
Yeah.
what they realize is they don't want to be spending 80% of their days worrying about how they look, or what they're supposed to eat, or what's going to happen if they have a piece of bread, or
Oh,
whatnot. That they just want the freedom and the space to, live the life that they want without having to worry about all of the
yes.
food and all of the body image stuff.
Right. And I was speaking with another woman on a podcast, and what she said was, we all deserve to be happy. We
Mm-hmm.
all deserve to have peace of mind. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really well done. I was like, oh, I like that one. I'm going to try to remember to
And
use that.
I
I thought,
also want to say we all deserve to have happiness and we all deserve to have peace of mind, no matter what body we live in,
that's right.
for sure.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. So let me ask, so can you give me some ideas of what is it that we should recognize in society? And I mean, I probably know a million things about how can we recognize that if we're thinking a certain way that we need to turn that around, because that's what you were
Mm-hmm.
talking about is changing the way
Yeah.
that you think.
Yeah.
So
So
I get up in the morning, I get on the scale, I'm like, oh, can't believe whatever. But so how would you change that way of thinking, the mindset, let's say?
Well, like, first of all, throw the scale away. Like that's 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 step number one.
Good.
And primarily the reason why I say that is because when you are determining your value by that number on the scale,
Right.
that is automatically going to set you into the mindset that you're not good enough, you're screwing up, like
Right. You're
you're
already
you're
setting yourself up for the day.
you are absolute, and you're setting yourself up for failure throughout the day for sure. But the
Yeah.
other reason why the scale is a bad idea is because that has you focusing on outcomes, which are not
Right.
always in your control. And so, what we want to focus on instead is what you are actually doing,
Hmm.
what habits you're engaging in over the course of a day that are contributing to the outcomes. And those things are in our control. And so I think, when you ask that question about how do we notice our mindset, this is such a difficult thing to do
Yeah.
because it is so ingrained in our culture that it just feels normal. And so what I encourage people to do when they're first starting on this journey is to notice, to just become aware of how many places and how often you're
Often.
getting the message of what the ideal is. And so the question I like to
Yeah.
ask is, if when you're watching movies or when you're scrolling, through social media, how
Hmm.
often are you seeing women that actually look like you?
Yeah.
Right. And not just in terms of body, shape and size, but
Right.
having the perfectly coiffed hair all the time and, having your perfect face on and all of the things. Like just notice how often are you seeing people that look like you in advertising and in movies and on social media.
Interesting.
And
Yeah,
then
that's
notice
interesting.
notice how it makes you feel and notice what you're tempted to buy when you see commercials on TV or ads on Facebook, and what you're thinking when you're tempted to invest in those things. And that can give you a pretty good idea of where you're standing in terms of diet culture. And when I say diet culture, I mean this in the biggest term. I mean, I right now am constantly falling prey to advertisements that are directed towards making my skin look
Mm.
younger because I'm like facing 50,
Ah,
you know, da- down the road right away here. And I'm self-conscious about the sunspots
yeah.
I have on my skin. And so I'm just seeing ads everywhere that are
Yes.
telling me that my aging skin isn't ideal, that I actually need, to look
Yeah.
younger. And this
Yes.
is all part of this same culture that's telling
Yes.
us we really need to be looking this certain way. And so I think
Right.
that's the first step, is just becoming aware of how immersed in all of this you actually are.
Right. And it is being aware. It's interesting. I spoke with a friend of mine. She is a Black woman, and she said the
Mhm.
same thing until the last few years. How often did you see Black women in on TV, in commercials as models, or how like all because for so long it was only white people on TV,
Mhm.
white people on commercials. So entire groups of people were like, "Oh, that's not me." Indigenous,
Yeah.
Asian, Indian, Muslim, Black, like, and you're right. So everything
Yeah.
is so geared that that was a really good statement that you make. How
Mhm.
often do we see
Well,
ourselves?
and I'll say,
Yeah,
like, it's slowly starting to change. Like, you definitely are seeing bigger women in
yeah,
advertisements now and stuff. But if
hmm,
you look at movies, and things that include bigger people, they're
yep.
always like the funny sidekick, or they're,
Mm.
like they're for a serious, a serious character. And I
No.
got upset watching the Barbie movie because I think it was absolutely fantastic that
Yep.
they had a disabled woman, they had a trans woman, they
Yeah.
had one token fat woman who
Mm,
was like a brilliant,
yeah.
brilliant woman. That was it. Everybody else was still tall and skinny with long hair, right?
Yep.
And so it's there, there's still a ways to go, I think,
Oh, there's
before.
so far to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't stand those in those magazines and stuff where you said where they say who wore this better. Okay, trying to
Yeah.
pit women against each other
Yeah.
constantly drives me crazy. This is one of my very big pet peeves that I'm trying to make sure that I don't do anything like that. Like we never compare our
Mhm.
daughters ever.
Good.
Right?
Good.
Oh, like who does
Yeah.
that? Oh, you didn't do as good as your sister. Who did that? Like, who does that? That just to me is just shocking. But I want to first of all find out how can people get hold of you? And again, I will include it in the notes for everyone. But I would like to know how they do that, please.
Sure, sure. So you can go to my website,
Hmm.
which is wayzahealth.com, and that's WAYZA health.com.
Hmm.
I am also on Facebook and Instagram at Wayza Health in both
Hmm.
places, or you can email me anytime, Michelle at wayzahealth.com.
Good. I think you'll be hearing probably from a lot of people. Yeah, I think a lot of people would be especially interested in maybe the group sessions that you do,
Hmm.
teaching women to like themselves. I think it's
Hmm.
amazing how many women don't even like themselves because of their body.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
sad. I
Yeah.
really appreciate your time. I think that I'm going to make sure this goes out to the whole world because I would really, really, really like for people to listen to what you have to say and learn from what you have to teach. So, everyone, I'm going to say thank you very much to Michelle. Thanks. I'm going to speak with you again. I just know it already. I'm just telling you.
I would
I know
be
we're going to hang out.
absolutely thrilled to, Shailene. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.